Hello, 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 friends. Welcome to another episode of the Quintessence of Leadership. And today I am joined by the one and only Dr. Michael Campbell. Say hello, Dr. Campbell.
Good to be here.
So
Hello.
happy to have you. So glad you said yes. And I have to share something with you, my friends that are watching us live and watching the replay. Dr. Campbell and I were introduced by a dear friend of mine. Actually, I have to disclose, he's my cousin. And he's a VP of another company. And he met Dr. Campbell and he said, I have to introduce you to this gentleman. And I'm so glad he did because it's funny that he lives in Ohio and he met Dr. Campbell, who's right here in the San Diego area with me. And because of his introduction, Dr. Campbell and I were able to connect, not just on camera, right? It's great to have Teams or Zoom meetings, but we actually were able to connect in person. And before we became live on this broadcast, he and I were just talking about the value of that. And the work that Dr. Campbell does is really around that space of trust and human connection and empathy and developing people, right? And understanding who we are beyond the resumes as the future of work is just changing so quickly in this realm of AI. So I am excited to have the amazing Dr. Campbell with us today. And we're going to jump right in. So, as you know, my name is Alicia Houston, and I am your host. And I am the woman that comes from the space of neuroscience, psychological safety, inclusivity. We talk about neurodivergence, all the things. So, Dr. Campbell and my message around organizations and what's required in this time is so parallel in dialogue. So, with that, Dr. Campbell, tell us a little bit about your organization and the amazing work that you bring to the world.
Yeah, well, Alicia, thanks so much for having me here. It's an honor to be on your platform. A little bit about me. So my background has been primarily around products. I've worked in product management, product marketing, and product operations, and I spent a lot of time working overseas, along here in the US. And primarily my role has been focused in the PC industry and supporting chips going into PC devices. In the plus 20 years that I've worked, I've been a part of hiring systems that have not been the best, have not been the most efficient, that may have not been the most fair. I've seen quality people, maybe perhaps unseen for whatever reason, or reasons that may not be, I would say, sustainable. And I think that our current hiring systems have not really kept up with AI. And AI is really not the problem. It's just revealed that our systems are not, again, not sustainable with the current environment that we're in. So that's what I'm trying to address with my current organization. I have been a part of teams where I've hired and I've made some hiring decisions. I've been fortunate that most of the time that my hiring decisions was right, but there are occasions when it may not be right. And I think that if you're a hiring manager, how do you really know if you pick the right person? And unfortunately, because of that, what's happening is that hiring managers are just going back to what they know. They're relying on their network, people that they went to school with, their neighborhood, their friends, because that's who they trust. And unfortunately, because of that, highly quality people may not be seen. So how do we build systems that focus not just on proxies like degrees and badges, or, I like to say Oscar performances.
Oh, I love that.
Interviews, right?
Yeah.
There has to be a better way. And that's what we're trying to do. SignalVerified is the company that I started back in October of last year. And it's still very early. The concrete's not dry, but we're on this journey to build a system that's focused on evidence-based hiring. It's not skills-based hiring, because we hear this a lot. We want to be a skills-based hiring company, but are you truly doing that?
Ooh. So how I love that. So skills-based versus evidence-based. And I like that you're having conversations around this performative, this Oscar performance. That was beautifully put. Some people do, Dr. Campbell, they come in and they just interview so well.
Right.
While there are other extremely qualified candidates who just may not interview as well. So how would you say your process and those you partner with is different than kind of what we've been doing all along, right? Because I'm assuming we're both Gen Xers, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
we've seen a lot of things come and go. We saw some things that worked during our time, but as we know, times are changing, they're shifting. So how do you combat that with the solution that you bring to the marketplace?
Yeah, no, I want to be really clear that, when you think about interviews and how someone interviews, I think when it comes to culture fit, the best way to assess whether or not someone is a fit for your team and your culture, that's going to require interaction, and having that conversation. So interviews will never be replaced, I don't believe. But how can you augment that and complement the interview so that you can validate and verify what that person claims, right? Yeah. So that's the whole intention. And what we're trying to do is reimagine what's being done today. A lot of companies, what they do, if you have a data analyst role, chances are you're going to have that person do a take-home test or a homework, either asynchronously or done in the office. What we're trying to do is just reimagine that, do it in a more modern, standardized way that is fair and sustainable, so that you can do the same type of approach for anyone and everyone that you hire. And that's what this truly is. I like to call it a Carfax for skills. It's a new way to imagine how we verify talent based on what people can do.
I love that. And is this an AI-based, do you utilize AI in this process? Right. Because we know, you are very conversational around the future of work. So without giving us too much, how does it work? So I'm an organization and so how does the engagement and how does your process work? How do you partner with individuals or corporations to take them through this process so they do bring on the best talent for what their culture requires? Yeah.
So what we're all about is a people in the loop or people in the leadership process, which really means that, hey, AI is going to be there, but it's going to be in service of people. So our process is a three-step approach. We talk to the hiring manager. We ask them, what's success in the first 90 days? We don't just look at the job description. We try to find out exactly what's concrete, what's tangible, what's success. And then we ask a range of questions. We then design or define a job preview or a work scenario that can be done in 2 or 3 hours, to be done by their candidate. And we are focused at the end of the hiring process, not at the beginning. Okay, so let's say you have 2 or 3 high quality candidates. They all interview well. They all look the same on paper. Well, how do you make that decision? Right. And what I truly believe is careers and livelihoods should not be made by just a gut feeling. It should be made by decision-grade evidence. We're not saying that we should, take away your intuition. Absolutely. Is there something else that you can use to help give you confidence that you're making the right decision? And that's what this is. And so we design a rubric that is based on science, but also based on, that particular role. It looks at mastery, communication, collaboration, and relevance. And we design the scoring system based on what's important for the hiring manager. Yes. And then we have practitioners who are certified on that rubric to actually do the evaluation. And then we provide a summary of how that person performed. There's no interaction with the interviewees. Got it. Just look at their written artifacts. So there's no human condition, aka
Yes.
bias that comes
Right.
in. It's
Right.
just, evidence backed, and the hiring manager can make a decision then based on how that person performed or persons performed. And here's the thing that it connects back to your work. You talk a lot about, belonging.
Yes.
If I know that I belong based on this project or based on this job preview, I know that I'm doing this work. Yeah. I know that this is the job for me, and I feel good. I don't have to have, what's that term called? Imposter syndrome.
Oh, yes.
Right. I know that this is for me. So it's a great way for the interviewee as well to confirm his or her that this is the right position for them. And if they find out that, this job is a little bit more, it's not for me, then they can choose to walk away. And that's not a bad thing.
Right. I agree with you. Yeah. And I love what you're saying. And I appreciate this, that the rubric is not, so there's no bias introduced, because you're never introduced to the candidate. So the candidate never has any dialogue with you or anyone on your team. I think that's really important to level set, because sometimes there can be bias. I was just working with an organization, and the woman, she didn't even realize she said it. He reminds me of my son. Immediate bias right there. And you're like, well, we can't hire him. But to your point, you eliminate that bias, that unconscious bias that people have, is because we're humans. We have brains, and the brain has bias to protect us. So, that will become introduced. So that is really powerful. And so, Dr. Campbell, as I'm hearing that you have this dialogue with the organization or the hiring manager or someone there. And I'm sure that even in that conversation, as you're deep listening and you're listening for what success looks like and who the ideal candidate is and what the functions are of the position that is open, I'm sure that there's even a time where you may identify some things that were missing, even in the job description, or even in that description of what success looks like. Can you talk a little bit about that? How you partner? Yeah.
I was at a EdTech trade show back here in San Diego. It was the ASU GSV Summit. Okay. And I had this aha moment. There a lot of managers have no idea how their team is using AI. They might have an idea of what they should be doing in their workflow, but if you have a team of 20, 30 people, or even 100 people, how do you truly know? So, we know that AI is not going to go anywhere. Right. But a lot of managers don't have any clarity or visibility on how their teams are doing it. So I think it starts early when you're talking about, the job description. And we also hear a lot about how JDs are changing by the day. Right. So one thing that we try to do is get really crystal clear on materially, what is success? What type of outcome are you looking for? And how does AI play a role in that? It's not about AI for AI's sake. That's one of the reasons why a lot of companies who have done AI proof of concepts, there was a study done by MIT last year, 95% of companies who have done AI prototypes or pilots have failed because they focus more so on the technology. But if they can focus more on the problem that they're trying to solve, then I think there's much more likelihood that they'll be successful. So it's really important that we design these projects really clear on, how is AI being used? What is the exact workflow, and how does that work in service of the actual outcome that the hiring manager is looking for?
That is awesome. And you just gave me a light bulb moment, because I'm sure there are a lot of organizations that you will have conversations with, and they'll be like, ooh, we didn't even think about that. Or, ooh, we have a gap right here. Right. I think that's the value too of partnering with your organization as well. There's a value that you do, unintentionally illuminate that there are some areas, there's some gap areas that can be shored up and solidified as we're moving into obtaining that outcome that epitome of the outcome that you want to achieve. Would you agree?
I
Yeah.
would agree. And here's another thing that I'm learning, like, Gen X, we learned growing up that you got to get the right answer. It's not about the
Yes.
questions. It's about getting to the right answer, right? That's what we're taught. Now,
Mm.
it's not about the answer anymore. It's about what questions are you asking?
That's so
What assumptions do you have? That
so
critical
good.
thinking, to me, I believe, is
Yeah.
becoming table
Mm.
stakes, critical.
Oh,
And in the interview, we're so focused and so we over index
oh,
on the answers, right?
wow.
So how do we build systems and processes and a lens that give visibility to
Mm.
those critical thinking skills? And what I
Mm.
truly believe is that going forward, when you think about future of work,
Yeah.
the number one skill that we need to teach our young kids
Mm-hmm.
early
Mm-hmm.
is judgment.
Oh,
Like, you have all this data or you have all these tools available to you. How do you orchestrate and use them effectively? Because,
yeah.
you'll get to an answer, but is it the best answer? Is it the most optimized answer? Because there might be more than one answer. So
Mm.
judgment and discernment, those are going to become critical skills, along with, I think, also orchestration. Being able to use these different agentic tools
Yes.
effectively, uh,
Yes.
and that's one thing that we're thinking about as we build these work scenarios.
Wow, you just made me think because I mean, I know you're a parent, I'm a parent as well, and I think about this is the world our children, I have some older children have grown up in, and then my teenager is growing up in. And you are so right, judgment and
Yeah,
discernment. I mean, you just hit me like right, like
yeah,
boom, right in my gut with that,
yeah,
and so these conversations, to your point, Dr. Campbell, we need to, yes, we can have them at the collegiate level and the organizational level, but we need to move that down the framework a little bit and start having these at the elementary level, because these kids in elementary school are already being
yep,
exposed to AI and things of that nature.
yep,
Would you say that
absolutely.
that's so? Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, so I have, I know our kids are a little bit younger than your kids, but I tell
Yes.
my two kids,
Hmm.
they're 12 and 9. Our
Right.
daughter is 9 going on 19.
Of course.
But I tell them, don't be a consumer, be a
Mm.
creator, build something. You're going to be living in a time where
Mm.
you don't necessarily have to know how to code and how to program. If you
Right.
just have an idea or if you have a thought of a problem that you want to solve, you can
Yeah.
go to these tools and build something. So
Mm.
I get it. If you have a favorite TV show or a favorite game, that's important. We consume,
Absolutely.
but but be a creator.
I
Let
love
that
that.
be your go-to. And it's so easy right now to do that if you
Yes.
have access to these tools.
Mm.
And it just comes down to how imaginative you want to be, how
Mm.
passionate or maniacal you are about solving a
Mm.
problem.
Yes.
There's so much opportunity right there. And that's what I try to tell our kids. And I hope
I
that
love
your
that.
parent out there as well, do
Yes.
the same thing. Yeah. Highly
Yes. I
recommend it.
love that. And so even as those of us, Dr. Campbell, we are on this side, we're Gen X, and then there's people that are further along than we are. I call them just a little seasoned, right?
Right.
So how do those of us who may be feeling stuck, who may be feeling overwhelmed, right? Because you're very clear about the future of work, right?
Right.
How do we have those conversations with those people in our workforce that they're still not going anywhere. Yes, they've still got it. Their mind
Yeah.
is still sharp, their body's still sharp, they still are firing
Right.
on all cylinders. But how do we support them in this conversation of being a creator as well
Yeah.
in the workplace with these tools? I love this conversation.
Yeah. This is, I think there's a couple of things I would tell, uh, if you are, let's say, not pro AI,
Okay.
or let's say that you believe that your expertise and your skills are irreplaceable. And there are people out there that feel that way, and that's okay. I just want you to know that you're not behind. It's never too late. If you are using agentic AI, and if you think that you're an expert, you are definitely probably in the top 1%. You're not the mainstream just yet. So we're still trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
What I do believe is that along with judgment, another critical skill, if I were to talk to my younger self, is being adaptable. I think things are changing so fast. The ability to know how to unlearn or to upskill, to downskill is hard but critical now, because the pace of innovation is changing so fast. And I think if you are multi-talented, if you can do different things, like if you can play with numbers, you can do finance. If you're a really good storyteller, you can do a lot of different things. In fact, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and this one guy said that storytelling is a critical skill that our young people need to learn early on, because that's going to be a way to set them apart.
Agreed.
But I would say, to our generation, you're not behind. Just continue to adapt and continue to learn, and be willing to pick up something different, because that's going to help you sustain in the organization.
I really appreciate you saying that, being adaptable, be willing to unlearn, be willing to upskill, be willing to downskill, right?
Yes.
And that all, to your point, falls under adaptability. And in this time, it's imperative. It is truly imperative. And I think some people may have needed to hear that too. You're not behind. It's not too late. Just have a willingness to learn something new. And
That's
because
right.
I don't know about you, Dr. Campbell, growing up, but growing up for me too, it was very, this is what you do, this is how you do it. And so we really didn't have the opportunity like, it's so vast right now. It's so vast, and it can almost be a little overwhelming. I will be very honest. I went down the rabbit hole and I got so overwhelmed. I was into every tool, and I was like, Alicia, like, I was overwhelmed. Like, I burned myself out on almost on AI. Like, it was just too much. And so as we're talking about the future of work, and we're talking about how organizations, like you said, they really don't even have a full grasp sometimes on what their employees are really utilizing it for. How would you speak to, so I'm going to ask you a two-part question. How would you speak to, number one, that person that's like, I don't even know, there's so much, I don't even know where to start, I don't even know what to do or what to not do. And then for organizations, how would you say, because I think I've heard some organizational leaders saying, I don't even know how to guide my people within the organization. And then I know a bank particularly, they just cut off all access to the AI within the organizational framework, just cut it. So I know that's a lot, but you're a very dynamic and brilliant man. I know you can bring it all together.
Yeah, man, it's really hard. I mean, I love the analogy, and I think it's a biblical expression.
Okay.
That we all can be trees. The roots that are underneath the ground of a tree, in many cases, could be just as long, if not longer, than the tree branches in the trunk. So, and how these things grow are different. Obviously, you have the sun that impacts the leaf. So we spend a lot of time focusing on what we can see, how we look and how we present ourselves, our presentation, and that's okay. But spend time thinking about underneath as well, your health, your physicality, your mental state, learning, going back to school. And it doesn't have to be school, but over time, if you invest in your roots beyond just what your mother and dad taught you, it will
Yes.
pay dividends.
Mm.
So I think investing in yourself, and only you know what that is.
Right.
It could be, learning how to cook Italian food. It could be picking up how to play guitar,
Mm.
classical guitar. It could be learning a new language. These are
Yes.
all skills that are going to enhance your overall being,
I love that.
right?
Yeah.
Roots and what you see. So
Yeah.
that's what I would say.
I love that. Thank you. And what you don't know is I love tree analogies. I use them a lot because I say the fruit is the manifestation of the root.
That's right.
So I love that. You didn't even know that. And so
I had
I
no idea. Yeah,
look at
I
that.
did
Look
not
at
know
that
that.
alignment. I
But that's
really
it right
appreciate
there. That's like, entrepreneur, San Diego, connection,
right.
entrepreneur, like-mindedness, value system. I see a lot of connections, and I'm not surprised that we
Yes.
share that
Yes.
that value there.
Powerful. Well, Dr. Campbell, as we are coming to a close with this dynamic conversation, I'm loving every moment of this, and I appreciate too how you so easily, because it's not easy for everybody to bring your whole self. You talk about your whole self, and I very you value. Well, again, our values are very aligned there, and so I
Yes.
appreciate you bringing that into the conversation because sometimes we tend to dismiss parts of ourselves, and we wonder why we feel fragmented. So thank you for bringing that whole self into the conversation as we're closing, and as we are going to bid adieu to our audience. What is something that you would like to leave them with? What is one thought? It could be biblical in nature. It could be from a poet. Whatever it is, what is one thing you'd like to leave with somebody that's listening?
I just always go back to, the quote that I first heard from Les Brown years ago,
Mm,
that you have greatness within you,
mm,
and it's never too late to unleash it. It might take some time, but
yes.
it's within you,
Mm,
and don't let anyone ever tell you that.
mm,
And the other quote I would say, and this is from Eleanor Roosevelt:
mm.
don't let anyone tell you no who doesn't have the power to say yes.
Woo! That is powerful. You dropped the mic on that. With those two. So with that, thank you, Dr. Campbell, for joining us. Friends, connect with Dr. Campbell. He is here. If you're an employer, if you're a university, education system, just listen, connect. You never know what can happen from one dialogue. All of his information will be below. And if you're watching this on LinkedIn, all you have to do is just hit connect and go send him a message. So, with that, thank you, thank you, thank you again, Dr. Campbell. Thank you all who are joining live or on the replay. Definitely leave a comment and tag Dr. Campbell. He will respond. All right. Until next time.
Thanks,
Bye.
Lisa. Bye-bye.
That's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. Do you have some thoughts, comments, questions as well? Drop them below. I'd love to hear them and actually respond to you as well. Don't forget to hit that little bell that you see because it'll notify you next time any new opportunities are posted to this channel. So, thank you again. And until next time, remember, continue to build trust to transform, whether it's transforming your community, your home, your business, your workplace, your voice is required. Looking forward to seeing you then. Bye.